Mi gente, hello. Welcome, bienvenidos to another episode, otro episodio de Hoy En Día TV. I'm your host and producer, Yessi Rodriguez. Bienvenidos. We have another amazing segment, as per usual. Bring onto the stage my amazing co-hosts. We have Dr. C. Andrew, the actionist. Yes, entrepreneur. We also have Nadine Barton, the author, entrepreneur. Welcome, lovelies. How are you? ¿Cómo están?
Muy bien, y tú?
Muy bien, y tú. Oh, I love it, Cece. Oh, you bilingual. You trilingual, honey.
I'm trilingual. I'm quadlingual. I'm duolingo.
Not the Duolingo.
Duolingo is working magic over there. I love it. Yes. Yo estoy muy bien. Me alegro saber que estás bien también.
Sí.
Okay. Slow. Slowly.
No, wait a second.
Piano is piano, slowly.
Now, friendly reminder, lovelies, you know, Sunday is Super Bowl and Bad Bunny is going to be hablando español con las canciones, so you got to pick it up real quick.
You're right about that.
There you go.
But I will say this, the beautiful thing about music is from what I hear, it's like the universal love language with music, right? You can always feel the rhythm regardless of what genre it is, what language you're speaking. I know for me, I appreciate opera, right? And so I know that depending on the song, either singing Italian or French, right? But because I appreciate the classical sound of opera and just how it sounds overall, I don't care what language they sing as long as it sounds nice. And I can
Right.
Sing to me in French, honey.
Oui.
Oui. You know, in Italy, they had a word called va bene, and va bene meant like, you know, like, okay, like, all right. So, you know, so, but for me, I was like, just, you know, those two words, va bene, I was like, I could really express a whole genre, right, of me trying to tell them what I need, right? And then one of my friends was like, do it. So I'm going to do it for y'all here today on Hoy En Día, okay? This is the first, okay? So va bene means, again, like, okay, you know, maybe, so, like, you know, it could be like those types of things. So if I'm sad, I'm like, va bene, you know? If I'm happy, I'm like, va bene, you know, you kind of, you know, because they talk with their hands a lot, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, when they're mad at people, you know, they do this. And so it's like, va bene, you know, even though, right, they get what I'm saying, even though these words, you know what I'm saying? So I go through a whole, like, emotions, you know, va bene, you know, like, hey, va bene, you know. See, you guys get what I'm saying, right?
Right. I remember those days.
I love that. You know what's interesting? Fun fact about me, a lot of people don't know this. I'm going to share that with y'all today. In high school, along with everything else I did, when I had time, I would work at a bakery and they spoke Italian and Sicilian. And so because I spoke Spanish, I was able to pick up on what they were saying and we were able to interact and communicate through their language of Italian/Sicilian and through Spanish. So it's interesting how even though culturally we're different, but from a language perspective, this still has that Latin root or that Latin base to it that we can still understand each other and communicate. So
yes, it's similar. The languages are similar, like due and dos. So you know, it's really similar. If you speak Spanish, it's easier for you to learn and understand Italian versus somebody that doesn't know anything about it at all.
That's true. That's a good point.
Let me tell you this. When I was in Italy, I was, you know, I had my little Italian book, my little travel book, and I was going around, you know, trying to, you know, ask for directions or ask for food or, you know, whatever I needed, just the basics. And I took a friend out because, you know, you get assigned someone, like when someone new checks on board, you know, they'll assign them a sponsor. And it's just basically somebody that kind of helps them get acclimated and show them around, you know, whatever they need, right? Show them the ropes. So we went on a trip and we were in, I think we were in Florence, and I was asking for directions, and I was very confident in my Italian. I only had a little bit, but I was confident in my Italian. And so I was asking this guy for directions in my best Italian. Okay. And I knew what I was talking about. I knew he could understand me. And the guy in his best perfect English, must I say, was like, what are you talking about? He's like, what are you saying? And I was like, I'm asking for directions. I was just like, OMG, you know what I'm saying? Because most of the time, the locals, they appreciate you trying to speak, even though it's broken, but they can kind of put the pieces together, kind of help you out. But he told me, he said, what language are you speaking? I'm like, I'm speaking Italian.
But he's speaking English. You could have asked him in English, right?
I know. Because I asked him, could he help me in Italian? And he stopped, to help me. And so then when I tried to hold a whole conversation asking him for directions, he was like, what language are you speaking? But this is what I learned. This is what I learned. There's different dialects, right? So I was living in Greciano, which is like the southern part. And then, Florence is a little bit more up north. And so it's a different dialect. And so when they would always say, where are you from? Because I was in, Napoli, Greciano, I'd be like, Napoli, or Naples. And they'd be like, ew. Because Napoli, or Naples, how we say it in English, is considered like the armpit of Italy because it's farmland, it's farmers and stuff like that. But the food is amazing. You want fresh, real food? Go there, right? But I was so proud in that moment. And then when he came in perfect English, I mean, better English than me. Like,
and that's where they put the
I'm like, dude, you saw me. I'm like, you saw me over here trying to speak my best. If you can speak English, why not just start with that? Okay, you clearly saw and could hear that we were Americans. But that was funny. But I did try because I know a lot of the cultures, they do appreciate when foreigners come over and they at least attempt, to speak the language and stuff like that. So, and that did not deter me. I continued to speak Italian, the best that I could. And people did, dialogue and converse back and forth. So that was good. My confidence was not broken. I was not offended.
I knew the basics and a lot, conversational wise when I was stationed there too. But girl, don't ask me a lick of thing in Italian or Japanese because those days are done. I should have continued trying to learn.
Nadine, you can do Japanese. You like mushi mushi, mushi mushi. Don't arigato. You know.
Arigato gozaimasu. Yeah.
See.
Ooh, that's so cool. I love that.
Oh, and that was just the basis of saying hello. Thank you very much.
That sounds like some really fun, good times for sure. Well, lovelies, as you know, this month is considered Black History Month, which is about visibility, truth, and legacy, and it honors contributions of Black Americans while also acknowledging the system they've had to navigate and overcome. And so in addition to that, I just realized also, I had no idea, there's also Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month, which is very, very important because I do know a lot of young people in situations that I would consider toxic, and they're so young that they shouldn't really be experiencing that at a high school age, right? So any thoughts about those two topics with regards to what this month, February, represents?
Yeah, well, I'm excited, for MLK Day and all that. We just had that last month, and then now coming into, this month and everything, with everything. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we're on the calendar, right? Right. I'm grateful to have a holiday, in any month. Like, we still got some months out there to get that don't have any holidays. We need to add some on, okay? So we can get some time off. But no, what's good for me is to know that I know in the school in which I substitute teach at sometimes, when I'm there, like, I teach them the history. A lot of these children don't even know anything. A lot of even African-American kids don't even know a lot of things about their own ancestry, their own history, and things of that nature. And I love to bring to light for Black History Month or like inventions, right? Like all of these different types of inventors. And kids are like, oh my goodness, for the street light and for the light bulb, like the filament that's in it that makes it actually work, right? For the microwave, it's so many wonderful practical things that we use in our everyday life that Black people invented. I'm sure there's so much more. We know that things were stolen and people didn't get the proper credits and stuff like that. But for the things that we do know, I think it's very interesting. So I'm grateful for the month. I'm grateful to even know that there is a teen violence awareness. I'm grateful to know that there is one, but it disheartens me to know that there is one, because like you were saying, like that kind of stuff shouldn't be happening. And it's really sad that, kiddos have to start with that stuff very, very young. And those types of things. But at least I'm glad that people are aware and they're putting it on the calendar so that people can keep up. Because sometimes I can't keep up with all the we got a salt and pepper, celebration. We got bread and butter, like all the it's like I can't keep up. Bread and butter month, salt and pepper month. I don't know, pancakes and syrup month. I don't know. It's a lot, but I'm grateful, that they're putting the things on the calendar so that I'm aware.
Yeah, Black History Month should be every month. That's just me. I mean, it's not going to solidify everything that, Black people went through. So, but I mean, I'm grateful, like Cece said, that they do have a recognition for us in that era. So, yeah. And
That's
with the team, like every time you go on the internet, it's always something. I'm just sick of going on Instagram and Facebook, and it's always something, always violence, always somebody missing. It's just, this world is, I don't even know what to do. You just have to put your faith in God and just hope that, all the crime will minimize at some point.
Right. Yeah, no. And I'm glad that you both shared those perspectives and your thoughts. And I agree with you. It's very important to highlight both, because for Black History Month, we'll highlight that first. The key focus areas that people should be considering as the education and the truth telling, right? The representation of what it all entails. Like Cece was saying, there's a lot of Black inventors that we wouldn't have known of because we really don't hear about it quite often. So it's always good to really do your research, do your homework, so to speak. And so that way, if there is ever a conversation that you as the viewer and listener are having, you can confidently stand on it to say, hey, I know my history. This is what this is, right? And so also equity and justice and cultural pride overall, because our people as a whole have overcome so much. And I say our people because although I'm Puerto Rican, I still have Black roots in me,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm still a little bit of melting pot between Taino Indian, Black, and what Spaniard. So I'm just all over the place here, being Puerto Rican. But nevertheless, I still have that Black root, and it's a pride thing. I mean, we've done so much. Our people as a whole have done so much, and it's a beautiful thing. We just have to keep pushing and keep fighting, right? Also, from a teen violence perspective.
Go ahead. Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say I remember in high school when I was growing up, I remember a couple of my friends had really jealous boyfriends where at one time, one of the young ladies was talking to a classmate because they had homework to do. The boyfriend happens to come out of nowhere, pushes the guy and says, "Why the F are you talking to my girl?" I mean, that's a little over excessive. And she's like, whoa, calm down. We're talking about homework. He's not trying to holler at me. He's not trying to hit on me. But it's one of those things where it's like, at that time, you're young. You're like, oh, he's cute. He likes me. But now as an adult, I'm like, no, that's toxic. That is toxic. And so these are some of the things that young women and men alike, because it's both, teen in general, can be facing. And as a parent, and this is me talking to parents, or even if you're aunt or uncle or grandparent, what have you, if you notice that your teen is experiencing that, please have that talk with them. Please let them know that there's plenty more fish in the sea and that's not love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because, a lot of times when we think about violence, relational, right, violence, we typically think of like the woman always being the victim. But, numbers are increasing for men where women are really being the abuser, to our young boys and men and things of that nature. And that really doesn't get talked about a whole lot. Or if it does get talked about, the male is made to feel shamed. Right. Which is wrong because abuse, whether it's female on male or male on female or male on male or female on female, it's wrong. Right. We shouldn't be doing those things. And it's important. This is why it's important to have family, right? A great foundation and to have men in the homes, so they can teach their young boys like this. We don't do this. Right. We don't hit. And also so they can tell their young girls, their daughters, like this is what love looks like, right? In a good, healthy environment. And this is what love does not look like. Right. And so you have to be able to do that. Now, I know a lot of times in our culture, in our world, we define and identify love as being, You know, oh, they buy me lots of things. Oh, they're really nice to me sometimes, you know, if I don't make them mad. Or, you know, it's a lot of materialistic. Oh, they listen to me. You know, they look into my eyes. So we have all this Google Gaga stuff kind of thinking that it's love, and it's not. And so I tell people, I want to share with you all out there now, if you do not know what love is, go to the Holy Bible, 1 Corinthians 13. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And it's going to lay it out for you. Okay. And when you look at the blueprint, the foundation of what true love looks like, ask yourself the questions. Does the person in my life match up and mirror this? Because this is the truth, right? I know there's other religions and stuff out there, but any religion can use this because it's good, right? This definition of love is the true definition of love. And just see if it measures up. See if it's long suffering, right? See if it's patient. Okay. Because if people are always snapping off, you know what I'm saying? Nah, that ain't love. See if it's kind, right? So just look at that. You guys check that out, because that's going to help hopefully save someone's life, or even pull someone out of a toxic relationship, because they're going to say, hey, this is not matching up to what it says love is. Your love is completely opposite and contrary to the kindness, right? Instead of the kindness, you're showing me meanness, okay? Instead of the patience, you're very impatient. You see what I'm saying? So take that, food for thought.
Yeah, it's a perfect example. I just did a voiceover like a few days ago. I'll put it on my, I think if you go to my Instagram, you'll see it. And I did a voiceover similar to that. You know, I saw the girl on Instagram posted it. I said, let me try it. So basically she went to the therapist's office, and the therapist was just going in on her like, why are you with this guy? You've been in my office for 19 times. Why are you with him? He's cheating. Is this, is that, is that. And she was going in and going in and going in. And then she was like, at the end of it, she said, finally, tell me, why are you with this guy? And she was like, because I love him. And then she hung up, and she was like, doctor, whatever her name was. She was like, doctor, you know, and it was, you know, it might seem like it's funny in the moment, but people are actually in those situations where they're ignoring all the signs, you know what I mean? And they're with that person, and their identification of love is not what it is or what it's supposed to be.
Right. No, absolutely. And I thank you both for sharing that perspective. I agree with you. I mean, it is interesting because being the outsider and kind of pulling back the curtain, right? We understand that everybody's upbringing is different, right? And in my theory, and I'm always going to say this, and somebody can help me prove me wrong, but a person, regardless if it's me or you or whoever, learns what love is from home as a child, their upbringing, right? That's the roots. Because when you're born, you don't know what family you're going to be born into. And so based on whatever environment you're in, you're going to grow into that. And then everyone's definition of love is going to be different. But I agree with you, Sissy. I like the fact that you said reference the Bible, because it does say love is patient, love is kind, love does not do this, you know, because at least you have the basic instructions before leaving Earth, and then understanding what love can be for you. Because I recently shared a post on my IG, I would say probably like an hour ago, to say, learn how to unlearn your behavior and relearn what's the true correct behavior, right? We have to sometimes unprogram ourselves from what we thought growing up was supposed to be, because even our parents or whoever was around us, they're not perfect either. They probably thought it was one way, and now we're adults. Now we know it's a different way. So I say that all to say that it's okay to unprogram yourself from how you were raised. Once you do your homework, once you do your research, once you realize that the sky is really blue and not purple. I mean, sometimes it can be depending on what lens you're looking at if you're a photographer. But nevertheless, right, you understand that you can unprogram what you thought at one point in your life was to be true, but it's really different. So just wanted to share that with y'all.
On both ends, on both ends, they have to learn, they have to heal that inner child. So once they heal that inner child, they'll get a better understanding of what they can accept and how the other person needs to treat someone.
Yeah. See, I just wanted to put some offerings. Okay, so pass the plate, because you dropped, it was profound. It was Jim, you was spot on. Okay, I'm trying to tell, I'm like all like Shana Night in my spirit, man. Okay, I'm pretty sure the viewers out there like hallelujah. Okay, doing a little G, doing a little dance. Because it's very, very true what you said. And I love what you said about the unprogramming and all that stuff. Because when you think about it, you are being programmed, right? You're being programmed. You're being people, so we're learning things and we're being taught things. And yeah, you can kind of use the words, flip or flop or whatever. But you're being programmed. Look at television. It's to tell someone's vision, right? It's programming, right? Future programming now, but it's programming, right? And so you do have to unlearn. And that's the hardest thing, right? Is to unlearn something that you've been taught all your life. And when you come into the truth, and that's been me, it happened to me back in 2013. It happened to me personally. And I was angry inside. I was so angry inside because I could not believe that people will willfully, but we know they do, just lie to you. Just lie. And people do. There's liars, right? You got non-liars and you have liars. So truth tellers and liars. So I was just like, wow, this is really something. And so you do have to unlearn some things. And that's not bad. That's always good. That's always good, right? So when you find out the truth, y'all, walk in the truth. Walk in the truth. And you shall be set free. Okay? I'm just trying to tell you. But I'm giving you all them offerings, okay?
Thank you. I love that. Yes. I feel like the three of us, every show we're always spot on. Like I love our conversations, but today I'm just feeling the warm and fuzzies a little bit extra. And you know what's amazing too? We have our special guest who's waiting behind the scenes, who I'm going to actually bring on, who focuses on mental health and leadership. And she has so many amazing things to offer, but I bring it up to say that from a mental health perspective, Cece, you brought up about lying. And then Nadine, you mentioned both sections having to unlearn. All of that is part of mental health, right? It's all about mental health at the end of the day. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest because I have a feeling that she might want to dive into this conversation with us. So let's bring her on here. Let me introduce her. So on this episode today, we're excited to welcome back our returning special guest, Dr. Annie, also known as Dr. Andrea Swink. Dr. Swink returns to the show as a respected executive, industrial and organizational psychologist, and servant-hearted leader whose work continues to shape people, first organizations across the country. With more than 3 decades of leadership experience, she brings a deep insight from her work across education, business, marketing, construction, and hospitality. Wow. As a first-generation PhD, ordained minister, a longtime advocate for mental health and mentorship, Dr. Swink leads with both strategy and soul. Her impact spans executive leadership, business ownership, and community-centered initiatives, always grounding in service, purpose, and human connection. In this return conversation, we go a little bit deeper, building on our last conversation to explore how leadership evolves over time. Also, touch on the topics that we've just started talking about now, because I'm really curious to hear what she has to say. And overall, how to protect people while still driving results. So without further ado, we're going to welcome Dr. Annie Swink to Hoy En Día TV.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome back, my dear.
Hi. How are you guys doing tonight?
Awesome. How about you?
Good. I loved listening in the background and hearing all the conversations about everything. Just everything. It was fantastic. I love it.
Awesome. So before we go into that, I'm gonna do my $1 million question for those who are first time tuning in, first time getting to know you, didn't have a chance to see you back in December. In a nutshell, who do you say you are?
Oh my gosh. My name's Dr. Andrea Swink. I just actually pressed the publish button last night. Dr. CC. I pressed that publish button last night. So my dissertation was published. And so I have a PhD in industrial and organizational psychology from Kaiser University. I have a master's in IO psychology from Kaiser University, and I am a proud alumni of Kaiser. But I also have a BA in organizational leadership from the fabulous University of Oklahoma out of Norman, Oklahoma. So that is a nutshell of what my life has consisted of for the last about 7 years, and along with everything else that I do. So yeah, that's pretty much a nutshell. I have a great support system through my family and friends, through love, which is a key component this month, because it is, I think this is a great month. Not only is it Black History Month, but we also recognize love this month. right? And so I think that all those things combined is just fantastic. So that's my short version. I am from Oklahoma. I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, where it's supposed to be warm and sunny, and it's cold today, but most of the time it's warm. But I grew up in Oklahoma, in a small town called Cashin, Oklahoma, and finished out in Edmond, Oklahoma, which is all right around Oklahoma City. So, and then I've been here for about 10 years.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that background. Yes. So you've been a long advocate for mental health and kind of in light of what we're talking about now, but I'm going to first start with mental health and leadership spaces. So why is this conversation still so necessary? And I feel like often it does get kind of avoided, right? Because we deal with different people in a professional space and you're a leader. So I say that to say, what are your thoughts about the whole being an executive or in a leadership position dealing with mental health, especially when you have direct reports?
Right.
Like, what are your thoughts about around all that?
Right. I think it's, I think the first thing we have to recognize is that we all have mental health, whether it be good or bad. And I've had mental health issues. I'm not like Cece. We all have to be honest. I've dealt with depression just like anybody else, whether, and a lot of these things are environmental, whether it be the situation that you're in as far as, mine came from losing my home, losing my dogs, to a house fire, all those kind of things that kind of set off some, some depression. It would for anybody, right? Things post, women after pregnancy. I mean, there's a million things, the loss of a parent, the loss of a child, the loss of grandparent. So a lot of those things play a huge factor in our mental health and how we deal with it. I think what the problem is in the workforce. Okay. So now we're going to flip over. We've become honest with ourselves. We all deal with these things, whether we cry in the shower or we cry to our friends over a glass of wine, whatever the case may be. Right. But once we understand that and recognize that, and, I have great friends that support me and a core group of people. But I think in the leadership role, you have to recognize, and the one thing that I try to strive, and nobody is perfect, right? There's only one person in this world that is perfect, and that is our Lord and Savior. But the one thing I strive when I am in a leadership position is to recognize the good qualities of people. And I really focus on that. Like, if you are really good at doing something, it might be on your resume. You might not be, touting about it somewhere, but if you're really good at something, so let's say you're really good at Excel spreadsheets, I will hone in on that. And as long as you like to do that, I'm going to make you the queen of Excel spreadsheets. Well, I believe that if we focus on good qualities of employees, then their mental health stabilizes within a workforce. Where if we say that, well, Susie doesn't do well at this, right? Susie might be in the wrong position. Susie that might not be her strong point. Maybe Excel spreadsheets isn't her strong point, but she is a fantastic artist. So we need to really hone in on her strengths. We hired Susie for a reason, but maybe we did not do a good enough job of placing Susie and placing, finding all those qualities and putting them together. So, but I think as a leader, and we don't always get it right. I think we have to, again, Dr. Cece, she's spot on. We're not going to get it right. We are human beings and we are not perfect. I'm not perfect by no means. And as a leader, we're not always going to get it right. We're making the best decision with what's put in front of us. Our response won't always be right. Whether we're a leader or we're a follower, our responses will not always be right. But what we can do is hone in on the qualities that somebody has. So they might not be the best at running the 50 yards, right? But they're really good at supporting the team. And if we recognize that, and one thing I try to think that I'm really good at is taking a group of people and it's like, okay, I do not really think that this group of people works, but this person does really good at this, and this person does really good at this, and this person. So if we take those 10 people and we divide them and we conquer everything with their qualities, then if they're doing something that they like and they're really good at, and we really build them up with that, then guess what? They will eventually be able to, expand themselves, and they will eventually have that confidence. And then mental health kind of levels out. This is my belief, but I believe mental health levels out. Then they feel comfortable coming to you as a leader and saying, listen, I am not having a good day. I just want you to know I'm not doing great at my job and not having a good day. And I learned that from a leader that I had early on in my life. And I love him till this day. I'm just going to keep his name because I know that that's how he want it. But I remember that there's something that happened in my life. I had a loss of a family friend, and I came to work and I was crying, and I was just crying. And he comes in and he goes, we're talking early 2000s. So he goes, take an MHD. And I was like, what is an MHD? I don't do drugs, so I don't know what you're talking about. A mental health day. This was before mental health was a conversation. And it doesn't seem like it was that long ago for us, right? It really wasn't that long ago, or it seems like I still feel like I'm 20 years younger, but but he goes, I want you to take a mental health day and gather yourself and come back tomorrow refreshed. And then I had 2 assistants, and I took the same approach with them. And I'm like, I don't care if you get your job done in 4 hours or it takes you 8 hours, but if you get it done in 4 hours, come and tell me. Okay, I got it done in 4 hours. Bye. And I think that, the Rockefellers and, I'm that's all I'm going to use, but they set this standard of we have to do this 40-hour week work. And I just don't believe in that. I believe that if somebody can get everything done in 6 hours, then they're just sitting doing this for 2 hours. Then we're struggling with mental health at work, because I'm one of those people that I'm like, well, there's going to be some point in this week where they're going to have to work 10 hours on a day, because we're going to have a project that needs to be done. So I think that there's a balance. And if you can recognize that balance, and you can recognize that with your employees, and you can understand that, and you can have conversations. And I've had several in a leadership role where I've had several employees come to me and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know, it's not you. I'm not happy in what I'm doing. I want to do something different. And I'm expanding my horizon, and I'm looking for a new position. And I wanted to be honest with you. And I'm like, that's fantastic. Where are you looking at? Can I make a call for you? I don't want somebody that doesn't want to be there. But they were so good about coming to me and saying, hey. And I was like, well, I was wondering, because the last couple of weeks you've been, a little standoffish, or not just your normal self. And they were scared to come and tell me. And I was like, oh my gosh, no. And I was like, I will help you. Like, I will write a letter of recommendation. And I think if you can have those conversations with people, I think that the workplace is a much better situation. But I think mental health is something that, and there are a lot of leaders, and you guys know this. I can't say this. I will say this. This should not be leaders, because they're horrible. Like, I watch them from afar, and you should not be a leader, because you don't recognize your employees. You don't recognize they're showing up every day. If somebody shows up to work every day, you better keep them, because anymore, that's even hard to find somebody to come to work. Please come to work. Please do your job. If you would do that, I'd be happy. I would be so happy. So I think we have to recognize the little things and celebrate those. But more importantly, engaging your employees. Understand that the conversation that you have with that employee stays with that employee. I think confidentiality is out the door these days. That plays a huge part on mental health. That plays a huge part in going home, taking work home. That plays a huge part in production. And you can't have that. If I have a conversation with a manager and, my manager or an employee has a conversation with me and I'm their leader, I'm going to tell you that's a vault with me. Unless it is concerning to the organization, to harm themselves, to harm others, that's when the conversation goes out that door. So I think that that's important these days, is confidentiality between you and your employee. Because if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I'm not having a good day, I'm going to do everything to make it a good day for them, So that's my take on it. I don't know if it makes sense or not, but I think that we miss a lot of things these days that are important. You're really good at this. I want to celebrate that every day. And if it means that you're the person that should be answering the phone, let them answer the phone, right? That's what we need to do. And it lowers the stress level, which lowers our mental health issues. We have a happier workplace.
I love that. Yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing that perspective. That makes a lot of sense to me. Nadine, I believe you had a follow-up thought with regards to what Dr. Swink was sharing with us.
Yes, absolutely. Dr. Swink, you make such valid points, because I've dealt with that and some of those leaders firsthand in the military. And you are absolutely right. Some of those leaders should not be wearing the uniform. They should not be leading people. And, mental health is a stigma, because a lot of people think you're crazy for wanting to go to medical, for seeking health and things of the sort. But yes, some of those leaders, as you stated, they should not be leading people. They should be taking a class. They should be going to NAMI, learning the ins and outs of what mental illness really and truly is. Like, as far as, I'm not sure if they use the same terminology in the civilian sector as the military. If you want to go to medical, or if something is wrong, it's called malingering, meaning that you don't want to work, basically. And why it look like, am I frozen? It looks like, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, but it does look a little laggy.
Yes,
for
we
me
can hear
online.
you.
Okay, good. So and Cece could attest to this too, about the malingering. There are people that are genuinely sick, genuinely want help, and some leaders will prevent them from getting the help that they truly need. So yeah, it's a very great topic, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because mental health and the awareness of that can save somebody's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I think it's important. Yeah.
Andy, before you say your thought, we're going to go on a quick sponsor break. So hold that thought. And viewers and listeners, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back with Hoy En Día TV.
At Cab Zenza, we believe beauty is a ritual, not just a routine. Rooted in intention and inspired by nature, our skincare is crafted to nourish more than just the skin. It nourishes the spirit. Every jar is made with purpose, because when you flourish inside, it shows on the outside. Cab Zenza's isn't skincare, soul care.
From the moment that I put this Cab Zenza on my skin, it feels most amazing. As you can see, it has your skin glistening, it's moisturizing. You too should get Cab Zenza.
Luxurious body butters.
A bold builder of people, purpose, and platforms, Girls with Gigs helps high performers and those desiring to achieve more shift mindsets and activate purpose. Whether it's career or leadership development, personal branding, or knowing your worth, in the job market, transformation has never been closer, because this is where purpose meets action and dreams become destiny. Book your free consultation today at www.girlswithgigs.com.
Yes. So as I usually say, right now we are in winter. Make sure to hydrate that skin, largest organ of your body. Order Cab Zenza today. Also, find your purpose. Reach out to Dr. Cece with Inspired for Purpose, Girls with Gigs. She will get you aligned with your purpose. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on this juicy conversation. So before our quick sponsor break, Dr. Swinky, we're going to share your thoughts with regards to what Nadine had shared.
Yeah, she makes a great point. And I think that there's a broader conversation that we definitely could dive into. But I think that the leader that is not good, and I might not be a good leader for somebody, right? So somebody that's under me, we may not mesh, and that's okay. And what we have to understand is that we have to separate, or I have to find another leader. I was just on a conversation last night about this. I was consulting individuals last night regarding their employment, where they work and their leader and stuff. And I think that the one thing is that Nadine, I'm hitting back on what you said, is that I had a couple of leaders that were not good. And the one thing that the president of our organization did was brought in mediators, brought in professional development, and it really helped the communication. And a lot of times that's what it is, communication. There are just bad leaders. And I think we see that in not just the military, but in obviously civilian life as well. And the military, thank you for your service. You know, I'm a huge supporter of veterans. I come from definitely a military family. And so, yes, absolutely. But yes, there are people that should not be leaders. Some people don't deserve to be in those positions. Are they making bad decisions or poor decisions in that moment? Is it a reaction? Is it emotional? And having emotional intelligence and understanding that. I know in our home, in our family, we have family talks now. We look at how we behave, how we react. It's so funny. My dad's staying with me, and let me give you 81 years of experience, knowledge, and emotional intelligence. And he said, do you know that when you talk to somebody on the phone, even though you're having a professional conversation, you say this term? And I said, I did not know. He goes, it's unprofessional and you should not say that. On the flip side, you should smile more. You don't have enough empathy. Now, my dad does not talk about that kind of stuff. And so the other day he responded to me in a manner that I did not really like. He was joking, but I didn't like it. Right. So I said, Daddy, I don't really like how you responded that way. Right. So even in our home, whether it's our home or workplace, we have to, is it just a response? Is it something how we react all the time? Are they not a good leader all the time? Or is it just that one moment? So that plays a big part in our decision-making as an organization, in how we approach, how we hire people, how we promote people, especially in the military. And that's a whole, Nadine and Dr. Cece, I'm telling you, right? Like, you guys are champs, right? But it is in how we approach that. And the military is a little bit different. In civilian, we can just move on with somebody else, right? But I also think that some people just don't have that emotional intelligence to recognize what they're doing wrong, right? So we have to figure out, whether it be third-party mediation, however that works, consultant, whatever, and understand that these two people are not working together, or a group of people, and we need to figure that out. And then there's some people that just are not good leaders, and you have to find a way for them to either be a good leader or they need to move on, because it can destroy an organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or the military.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that makes perfect sense for sure, Dr. Swink. Cece, did you have a follow-up question or thoughts with regards to that?
Yeah, I like how we started out and you were talking about how you're identifying these people's basically kind of like a SWOT. Anyway, how do you, as an IO practitioner, right? How do you find or see, right, employees or, whomever, their strength to be able to pull that out. So, we know, like, as you already mentioned, in many organizations, it's just like, we need someone to fulfill this position. And so it says on here that you're qualified and you job, and so you do that position, but it's really not your purpose or your passion. So it's just a job at this point. It's not a career. It's not something that I'm going to buy into the mission, the vision of the organization, those types of things. So when you onboard these new employees and they've been working there for a while, how do you help leaders, right? Being an IO psychologist, I help them to identify those strengths and weaknesses in their people, like as we're watching them and, seeing them in different, because sometimes when you're upper leadership, you're not always with, middle management or even just with your subordinates, right? You're not always there in the mix, seeing them do their day in and day out. So how can you, or give us some tips of how leaders can be able to kind of clue in to spot those strengths in their employees and help build them from there?
Right. So, I mean, obviously you need to get back to your core values, your mission and your vision and your purpose of your organization. That is where you started from when you started an organization, however big or small you are. But I think that yes, there are tips and tricks that you can do as an IO psychologist. You can definitely have professional development. You can definitely have one-on-ones, consulting coming in. You can offer, which I think is a true pioneer in any organization. So if you have a CEO or president of an organization is offering therapy, whether it be contract therapy, counseling, whatever, to your employees, to where they don't really have to go off site. They can just make appointments on the days that they're going to be there. I think it's fantastic. I think it's probably one of my biggest pushes for people to have that care right then. And it shows that an organization is truly, a proponent for their employees. But I will tell you, the biggest impressions that have been left with me by leaders, whether they've been my leader, my president, or my CEO, or I have watched from afar at an organization, have had these qualities. One, they have sat with, whether it be the janitor or your top leader, and they know them. And I will tell you, the first thing that I ask when I started a new organization, whether as a consultant or I have been in a leadership position, is I have meetings with all of the employees. I find out everything I can about them, because if you don't know your employee, how are you going to know if they're having issues? You don't know your employee, how are you going to know if they're in the right position? A resume does not tell us. There has to be a thorough recognition. You need to be going through steps as an organization to thoroughly vet your employees that you're hiring. Now, I hired Susie, and she's going to do this job. And I'm going to use an example of what I did 20 years ago before I was ever an IO doctor, right? So 20 years ago, I had an open position for an assistant, and a gentleman came in, and I'll never forget this man. He's so amazing. And he comes in and he has a bachelor's degree, and he's like, I can be your assistant. And I'm saying, I go, I was very upfront in the interviews, and I said, listen, this is not an easy task. And I'm not saying that I'm hard, or difficult. I'm saying the job itself requires a lot of multitasking. It requires, and so I just want you to know, so we're going to do this on a temporary basis. And this was I think the first time I understood like industrial and organizational psychology, but I didn't identify it as that, right? So a couple of weeks into it, and it was a hot mess. I mean, he was just miserable, and I could tell it. So he comes up to me and he goes, I see why you tell every interviewer that it's difficult, because this position is very difficult, and you don't make it difficult. It's just everything that's required. I think I would be more suited in the call center. I said, why didn't you say that in your interview? I would have totally just walked you up to the call center, put you in an interview with the manager up there, and you would have been golden. And he goes, because I just wanted to get my foot in the door. He goes, are you upset with me? And I go, no. And 4 years later, he's the manager of the call center. He's this, he's that, you know, this was 20 years ago, right? I'm sure he's moved on. But right there is what I'm talking about, identifying. CC. We have to identify. He just wanted to work there. He just wanted to get his foot in the door. But instead of having, you know, the courage to say, hey, I really just want to work in the call center. So if I can work for this for 5 days and move on, I'd be great. So those are some things that I recognize. I also recognize that I think that you should, again, have conversations. A large organization, I recognize I know his position is well in the hierarchy of the organization, and he is very well known. And so I can't say his name or the organization, but that man knows everything about his employees, from the janitor to his top managers. He knows what sports they like. He knows what coffee they drink. He knows if they have kids, who they're providing for. That for me tells me that he cares about his employees. I know, and I've seen what he's done when the employees have lost a loved one, whether it be a father, a mother, a grandparent, whatever. I've seen what he does, successes, when they've come out off the charts for doing something, when they have saved lives, like given CPR, done, like, that is a true leader. It's never about him. It's always about the other people. And that's where we get into servant leadership. And that's what right there is a servant leader.
That's amazing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I like the fact that you mentioned earlier. Did she answer your question? I think you did.
I think, you know, like, you did. I believe, you know, just for those that are just trying to get it quick, the main thing is communication, really, truly. Talking with your people, like you said, that CEO knows all of those things about, you know, personnel and things of that nature. On the military side of the house, you know, we had something that was called, people probably don't do this, but in the military, you're like gung-ho and like, yeah, it's a good thing. But we called it intrusive leadership. So maybe we should have found a different name, but because that kind of sounds, you know, like a negative connotation, but it's intrusive leadership. And so what you do is you sit down with your personnel and you get into their business. Like, you know, you want to know, okay, you ask them those questions, you know what I'm saying? And of course, because you're the boss and it's a different kind of organization, they're going to tell you, right? Which is nice. You just kind of keep little notes, but that's, you know, that's the way that, you know, I was able to get a lot of information from, you know, sailors and things of that nature, but the communication at the end of the day, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
And if you notice, and Cece probably remembers because we shared residency together when we were in school together. But if you remember our first residency, Cece, I had colored pencils and pens with me. And I went around to everybody in our second residency as well. And that's how I found out everybody's favorite color. And because they'd be like, oh, I'm trying to find a pen or a pencil or what. I was like, oh, what's your favorite color? And magically I'd pull out a purple pencil or whatever. And the reason I did that is because I knew, right? Is because I knew that these people sitting next to me on the left and the right were going to be very important in my success and my completing my program through school. It's the same thing in life. It's the same thing. Organizations need to understand. It's the little things. I'm a big proponent of it's the little things. Everybody, you know, my family gets on to me because I'm like, okay, I got to get this sent out. I got to get thank you notes. I'm a huge thank you note person. I got to send a thank you note. CC knows that I mail stuff all the time. And so everybody goes, you know, you stress yourself out. You worry yourself. No. It's the little things that make the difference. Then if you accomplish the little things at work, knowing your employee, knowing your organization, if you accomplish the little things, the big things are easy because we're doing that as a team, right? So if you accomplish those, then you can accomplish the teamwork. But if you don't know who the CEO, and my mom was a janitor almost her whole life. So if you don't know the janitor's name and know that they have 4 children and they also have their live-in mother or grandmother or whoever, and you don't know that, you don't know your organization, and you are failing as a leader, not only as a leader, but as a servant leader. And if you are an organization, if you are a leader in an organization, you are a servant leader. You are to lift those people up. You are to put them on a pedestal because they are working for you.
Well said. Absolutely. Servant leadership is absolutely key. I love that. Yes.
And I'm going to drop the mic on that.
Yes. Drop the mic.
Like you said.
Showing that just because you are in a leadership role, you're still human. You still want to be able to engage with them, right? You still want to be able to get to know them from a personal level, because at the end of the day,
right,
that is that human interaction, human connection, not thinking like, oh, because I'm so and so, I'm better than you.
Right.
No, because as quick as you got the job, guess what? You can lose it. So humble yourself there, buddy. Just in case whoever thinks that way, it's food for thought. Humble yourself, you know.
But it's at all levels, right? It's at all levels in our, you know, and you all know me well enough that you know that I'm going to come at you, but it's at our government level as well. People, everybody has their own political stance, and we've talked about where I stand on that. But I hold people accountable. So if something's not working out, I'm going to question our senators, our congressmen, congresswomen, whoever it is, right? I'm going to question our governor. I'm going to question that. They have to know us. We are the people. We have a voice, right? But we need to use that in a way that moves the pendulum, right? We have to move that line. And in order to do that, we have to use our voice. And so it's nothing for me to call a senator or to email a senator and say, hey, I know that you're working on these 3 platforms, but I don't know if that's in our best interest in this area or wherever, right? I don't know if that's in our best interest. Or, hey, I see that we're spending funds over here. I'm not so sure that that's what, we all want. So it goes to that too. It's at every level. It doesn't matter if it's government, military, or civilian. We have to have that voice. We have to have that conversation. But we also have to hold our leaders accountable, whether it's in an organization, whether it's in the military, whether it's in the government. We have to hold our leaders accountable. Now, what do we do if we're not a leader? Then that's where it gets a little sketchy, and we get scared because we're afraid to go, hey, I don't really like this, and sometimes you have no control about how the situation is. And I've been in that. I'm sure you guys have been in that. You don't have control of the situation. You're like, I just got to walk away. And that's understandable. But a lot of times, if you go in and have honest conversations and say, hey, this is what I see. This is how I feel, or how it makes me feel. And understand who your leader is and how they respond. Well, sometimes they don't respond well in the mornings. Maybe they're not a morning person. Maybe they're not an afternoon person. But no matter what, if you don't communicate, everything's null at that point.
Absolutely. So pretty much across the board with the questions that the 3 of us have asked is communication is definitely key at all levels, not only from a leadership organizational perspective, but also from a personal level as well. Just even off camera, right before we logged in, we were talking about people taking certain things personal and being in their feelings when you may not have ill intentions. I know we started that conversation before we actually went live, but even with that, what are your thoughts about certain individuals when you are saying something and you're meaning it in a positive way, but the receiver, they're not receiving it that way?
Right. And I've been in a lot of those situations. I think we all have. I look back and I could have done things different, or I could have said something different, whether it be the receiver or the deliverer. And we do that with our family. We do that with our friends. And can we learn from that? I have learned from that, and I've grown from that. And I think that there's one thing I believe in. Don't tell me it's not personal, because that makes it personal. You could say that to 100 people, and I guarantee you, everybody, like, if you tell me it's not personal, then it becomes personal, right? Everything is personal. Everything is personal, because when you speak to me, or you speak to your employees, or your employees are speaking to you, it is personal, because we're communicating as human beings. Our reactions, our facial expressions, our tone of voice, I talk very loud anyway. I have my voice projects. So sometimes, even when I'm talking to my dad, he goes, "Oh, it seems like you're upset." I'm like, "No, Dad, I'm just trying to express myself," right? So he's like, "Okay." So I have to tone it back, and I have to know that. And I think you learn that. My dad used to not be like that, right? My dad was very a Marine, blah, 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 right? But now, 81 years into it, he's giving me advice of how I should approach things. And I love it. And I think that that's just a learning process, but it's always personal. It's not personal as I'm attacking you, but it is personal because we're having a personal conversation. I'm telling you that John is not doing well at his job. I don't know what's wrong. Maybe he's having some, home issues, whatever, but John is not doing well. I see it. I would just like to let you know that I don't want anything to happen. Maybe they're on a manufacturing line. There's a lot of things that can go on. And I think that it's important to understand that it's always personal. And why is it personal? Because we're at work. We're earning a living to do what? Put food on the table, a roof over our head, and clothes on our back for our family. It is personal. It's absolutely personal. Everything about it is personal. So how we approach it will determine whether it is actually directly personal to me, like I'm directing this to you, or if it's just we need to have a conversation and let's attack whatever we need to do, and let's see if we can help each other. So but everything is always personal level, and that's just my opinion, but it's always on a personal. But when somebody tells you this isn't personal, that goes back to the greatest line ever. It's not personal. It's just business, right? It's always personal. It's
yeah, that line is
it's personal because if you fire me, yeah.
Cece, what did you have anything else you wanted to add to it before we pivot over to Nadine?
Yeah, I was saying that line's a total cop out because people want to disconnect. That's a disconnector. So they want to say, "Hey, I love you over here as
right.
My personal friend," and all that. But over here, like it could go either way. So you might get cut, or or it might go well. Right. But we're going to separate the two. Yeah. And I'm guilty of that. Like I've done that. Say, "Hey, this is just business. Like I'm not trying to be yada yada yada." But it's an excuse, right? I believe it's not only an excuse, but I believe it is like. I'm looking for the right word, and it hasn't come to me yet, but I'll use this word instead. It's almost like it gives them the right or the freedom to perhaps maybe treat someone badly. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's not personal and it's just business, and I say, "Well, no, I'm not going to go with this, or I'm not going to go with that," and maybe you have an attitude about it, or you're like, "I'm just firm when I'm doing business." You know what I'm saying? It gives them like some kind of a free pass in a sense, in my thinking. With it. And I've done that because I want people to know, like, my personal world be nice, and kind of show mercy and grace. When it comes to business, I'm like cutthroat. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? It's kind of like that. And so there is no separation, I believe, because like you said, we are people, we are persons. Therefore, it's personal. You know what I'm saying? So now how you receive it Okay, now that's a difference how you receive it, because you may receive it in a good light or you may receive it in a bad light. But like you said, I believe too, at the end of the
Right.
day, that it is personal, and that doesn't mean that it's anything good or it's anything bad. It's just, it is what it is. We're dealing with
Nope.
people now. We can make it good or bad. You know, I might come off at you sideways, and you know, or vice versa. So that can make it bad, or I can come to you with like the proper respect and
Right.
kindness and that kind of thing. I wanted to share a Proverbs, Proverbs 4, and just to really, you know that, you know, put the nail in the it says, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Because we were talking about emotional intelligence and all of that stuff. And people think it's something that just showed up on the scene, and it's never just showed up on the scene, right? This stuff has been here since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Every person, people say you don't have emotional intelligence. Well, that's a lie, because we were created with it, right? It's in us. It's in our DNA to function and to do all
Right.
of these things.
Right.
We have emotions, right? Even if they say people, you're a sociopath, they have no emotions. They feel nothing. Well, that's not true either. All right. We can go to the literature and we can actually prove that, right? Because these people, they're doing, you know what I'm saying? So it's always been there, because as this says, right, guard your heart, because out of it flows the issues of life. So therein, you know, in fact, it lies to show you that, you know, emotional intelligence, you know, however you want to term it, it's always been there. The whole thing too with the work-life balance, because with IO, you know, we really focus on that too, you know, in organizations and things like that. And I'm really just cleaning up the language when it comes to work-life balance. And I heard someone say here about a week ago, they said, I don't believe there's any such thing as work-life balance. And when she said it, it made me think about it, because you always kind of put them separate, because you're like, I have my personal life and I have my professional life. What we're talking about now, your personal and business, you know what I'm saying? This is, you know, and so she said, work is life. Because it is. Work is a part of life. So there's no separation in the sense of work-life balance, meaning I got to, you know, have a 50-50. It's work is life, and all of it in totality, right, should be balanced, right? So I believe people begin to reframe that can even push people over into a more positive mindset as to how they think. And that hopefully, right, even help better someone's mental health.
I love that. Yeah.
But don't you think that
Go ahead, Annie.
Yeah, don't you think that a lot of times when we're talking work-life balance, right? I'm a compartmentalizer. So whatever's is set in front of me on the business side, I can focus. And I think that you know, Dr. CC probably knows as I do, you know, sometimes you're just grinding it out, right? Like you're just like, I'm getting this done. I'm getting this paper done. I'm doing whatever I need to do. And I think that some people can compartmentalize. Some people can multitask. Some people can find, I don't like the work-life balance terminology either. I'm with CC, because if I go to work, that is my life. Right. And I've got to come home from work, and then I've got to start a new life. And so, so I'm not a fan. I don't use that terminology, to be honest. I usually just say, okay, I need to stop working and I need to engage with my family or my friends or whatever. So I think that I'm a better compartmentalizer than a lot of people. I think CC is, I think everybody on here is, because we juggle a lot. So in order to do that, you have to be able to compartmentalize things. And I feel like my brain is like this Rubik's Cube kind of thing. It's like, okay, we're going to go to the blue side and there's 9 squares. And, you know, so I think that, that has a lot to do with emotional intelligence and also the functionality of a leader. And sometimes that Rubik's Cube in our heads gets twisted a little bit, and we're like, oh, we got to get it back to where it's all the colors are on the same sides. And so I like to think about that a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's very helpful. And I appreciate both of y'all for sharing your perspective about emotional intelligence, about even the Proverbs verse that you shared. CC, thank you for that. Nadine, let's spotlight you. I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts that you want to share with us with regards to your perspective on this conversation before we pivot over to our last minute words.
Oh, just like you guys said, most of the, you know, all the points that you said are spot on as far as like whenever I hate, like, you know, And I've been to therapy. I am healed. But even though I'm healed, that is not a trigger for me. But I don't like that when people like, don't take it personal. And like Dr. Swink said, it is personal because we are having a conversation, you know, and sometimes some people, when they say it, they probably don't think or understood, you know, that they've said, or they're just used to saying that word. I don't know. For some people, it's like a trigger for them. And for them, sometimes when people say that to you, especially in the workplace, they probably don't like you, or, you know, they just want to get your reaction or things like that. So it's a psychological thing that people use to trigger you or to get your reaction. So that's just my thought of it, you know?
Yeah, it's like minimization. When they say don't take it personal, it's like minimization. Like, you know, like you can't take it the way that you're going to take it. You know, you're not going to process it the way that you're going to process it. That you need to process it the way I'm telling you to process it. Right. And so to me, it's not a big deal. So then for you, it shouldn't be a big deal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what the whole don't take it personal means. Like, think the way I think, do what I do, say what I say, feel
Right.
how I feel, you know, like that. So when they're saying this dismissive, it's
Right.
dismissing you,
Right.
and that infuriates you, right? That incites you even more. You're like, what? And then it just kind of goes sideways after that.
And it's just like another thing when some
Right.
people thinking that you're mad or you're upset and you know that you're not. So when they keep saying it or pressing it, that's what's going to make me get mad for you thinking that I'm mad when I'm not. It's like psychology, you know, don't say that I'm mad or I'm angry when I'm not. And I'm telling you blatantly that I'm not upset. I'm not angry. I mean, I'm sorry that I have, you know, the RBF. Sometimes, you know, I can't help that I get my daddy's face, but at the same time, if sometimes when I'm not smiling, it may look like I'm angry when I'm not, or I'm mad at something, but don't tell me just because you see my face, oh, why are you mad? Why are you upset? Why are you this? Like, hello, have a conversation with me. And then you'll see that I'm not upset. But if you keep pressing me and poking the bear, oh, you mad? That's why I'm probably going to give you some words you're not going to like. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
I'm so sorry, but I just had this conversation with somebody today, and it's just, I'm dying laughing over here because they just sit here and do this, right? Just keep doing that. Just keep poking me.
No,
Oh,
after a while. Oh, can y'all hear me? Oh, Nadine froze up a little bit. No, but I agree. No, if somebody keeps poking you, I feel like, in my opinion, they don't really respect you. And at that point, it's kind of like, hey, I don't know what is happening here, but for my energy, I got to protect my energy, and we just got to part ways. Like, I'll let you do what you got to do. I wish you the best. But you poking me, that tells me that and we've had this conversation many, many times, and you're still doing the same thing. It's kind of like, you don't respect me. Like, it's time for me to part ways. I'm just saying. But hey, with that in mind, we can go on and on with this deep conversation, and I'm sure we will in a future date. But we're going to pivot over to our last minute words. This is an opportunity for you to remind the viewers and listeners where they can find you, follow you. If you have a quote, a paragraph, last minute words, anything that comes to your heart, this is an opportunity for you to share that. And to highlight how that pretty much looks, I'm going to have Nadine start us off, followed by Cece, followed by Dr. Swink, and I will close out with the remaining sponsors of Hoy En Día TV.
Yes, as you guys know, my name is Nadine Barton, just as you see it on the screen, and on Facebook and on Instagram, you could follow me at Nadia, BNADIAB _1202. And if you'd like to get a copy of any of my books, just go to nadinebarton.com, NADEAN, just one word, Barton.com, and you could get a copy of my books, or they're on Amazon as well. And like I always say, this is the perfect conversation, or the perfect topic to say life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. So be kind and treat people nice.
Yes, that's right. That was perfect. That was so perfect for a time such as this. Right? Absolutely. So, hey, I'm your girl, Sandra, the Actions with Inspire for Purpose, and also Girls with Gig. You can reach me on any of those websites. Just put the www in front and the .com at the end. Okay, I just came up with that. Right now, I'm sorry. But no, you can find me there, right? My last words that I want to leave you with, and this is from the Holy Bible, because it's so good to me, right? It says, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to answer. You can find that in James 1:19. As I always love to say, love and light and inspired for purpose.
How do you even follow that? She just dropped the mic on all of us right there. Yeah, both of them did. So my name's Dr. Andrea Swink. You can find me on LinkedIn, which is usually my go-to place to hang out, and Dr. Andrea Swink. And I have Instagram as well, Dr. Andrea Swink. So those are my two go-to platforms. My go-to saying is kind of silly, but I love it. It's active as if it were impossible to fail. So always keep your head up, keep smiling, and keep pushing through. And you can do everything through the love of God.
Thank you. Wow. The three of you, truly amazing. Another awesome show. We've learned so much about servant leadership, industrial leadership, or industrial organization leadership, and just all the deep diving topics that we had today. And I know, like I said, we can go on and on and on because I had a lot of thoughts, but I held them back, for a future show that you have to tune into to make sure to catch what we think, right? Because it does help you in life. That's what Hoy En Día is. It's a bilingual lifestyle show that helps you and positively motivates, enlighten, educate, and entertain the viewers and listeners with each and every episode. And I know we did that today. And so with that in mind, I'm going to highlight our remaining sponsors before I do my end quote. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Sponsored by Collective Wear, available at www.yessirodriguez.com/shop and myrod-enterprise.com/shop.
Are you looking for the perfect shirt for that special occasion? At Collective Custom Wear, we bring your vision to life. From weddings, family reunions, anniversaries, or casual outing with friends, express yourself with your unique style and leave a memorable mark. Order now. Our custom shirts are designed just for you.
Sponsored by Divine Beauty and Accessories. Watch Hoy En Día TV, Thursday, 7:30 p.m.
All right, so shout out to Collective Custom Wears. We are wearing our shirts. So we have Nadine and Cece rocking the Hoy En Día shirts. We do have those for sale. So just DM me or DM Cece or DM Nadine, or even send us an email. Let me actually put up the email so you all can see the thread there. I am going to have a link for you all for those who do want to order Hoy En Día shirts. And hey, rock Hoy En Día. Even my this is We Don't Wait, We Create shirt for the upcoming event taking place on April 18th is a networking event. We are going to be in the house. Hoy En Día is going to be in the house representing. So come on out and hang out with us. Now, what is We Don't Wait, We Create, right? So it's a networking opportunity for different people, whether you're a model, actress, videographer, filmographer, director, writer, whoever. You're tired of waiting. You're tired of getting that somebody calling you like, hey, we got this. No, we're going to make opportunities happen. We're going to come together in one room, network, and say, hey, let's put the production together. Whatever it is, you can do that. You can do that. You can do that. Let's put our talents together and make something happen, because we're not going to wait for opportunities to come. We make the opportunities happen, right? We're going to grow together, evolve, and collect dinero, like J-Lo says, yo quiero dinero, you know what I'm saying? So, hey. So for those who want to grow and network, meet us April 18th at the We Don't Wait, We Create event. And yes, more details coming soon about that. And for me, so for those who want to find me and follow me, simple. Go on Google, Safari, Internet Explorer, type in Yessi Rodriguez. Boop, I pop up for you. You can see my social media handles, my website, and a little bit about me. So there you go. You can catch Yessi Rodriguez. And my last quote that I have here is, the sky is never the limit because the galaxies are endless. Thank you all for tuning in to another amazing episode of Hoy En Día TV. Hasta pronto. See you soon.